I want to thank Oliver Ben for becoming my latest subscriber. Thank you very much. So TNA Impact took place from St. Louis, Missouri, and it was another special themed episode. No surrender. The show starts off with Bully Ray coming to the ring, accompanied by Brooke Tessmacher. Bully Ray gets on the mic and tells the crowd that he's pissed. He says that things haven't been going well within Aces and Eights, and that he and Mr. Anderson are not able to agree on matters. Bully Ray says that he can forgive Anderson because Hogan is the source of their problems. Of course, Hogan comes out. After Hogan finishes popping, he tells Bully Ray that he should be more concerned with defending the title against Anderson than blaming him for Aces and Eights issues. And Bully Ray tells Hogan that Anderson will do the right thing and wants him to come out. Anderson comes out and Hogan wants to shake his hand, but Anderson walks past him. And Bully Ray acknowledges that Anderson wouldn't shake Hogan's hand and says that their colors are stronger than him. He tells Anderson that if he apologizes, then everything is forgotten. Anderson says to Bully Ray that he was out of line, but then says that he can't wait to get out of line tonight. He slugs Bully Ray and goes into his hybrid persona, telling him that he will become the new world champion. Then Hogan tells Bully Ray that the title match will have a last man standing stipulation. Decent segment. I don't get why Anderson did his hybrid face persona when he is technically still a part of Aces and Eights. Also, if this was to be a last standing match, why not announce that last week? There are casual wrestling fans that may not know what's going on in TNA, but they know what a last man standing match is. And if they had known about it a week earlier, they may have wanted to tune in and see it. If TNA chooses to have a main event, particularly a championship match, with a specific stipulation that could attract that many more casual viewers that could become actual TNA fans, that stipulation shouldn't be tacked on the night of the show. So then we had our first Bound for Glory Series semifinal match. AJ Styles versus Austin Aries. Good match. The match ends with Styles attempting to execute the Styles Clash on Aries, but Aries locks his arms together. Styles lays Aries down on the mat, then lifts him up, but Aries instead delivers a Hurricane Rana. Aries crawls to one corner while Styles recovers in the other. They both get to their feet, and Aries charges towards Styles with a running dropkick, but Styles lifts his leg and bashes Aries' face. Styles runs toward the ropes, but Aries runs behind him and nails Styles with a running dropkick as Styles comes off the ropes. Aries lifts Styles up for the brainbuster, but Styles counters and tries to lift Aries up for a suplex, but Aries lands on his feet with his back to Styles in a reverse lockup. Aries reverses that position and executes the brainbuster on Styles. Aries goes for the pin, but Styles kicks out. Aries quickly locks in the last chancery, but Styles refuses to tap out and breaks the hold. Aries delivers a couple of headbutts to Styles' back. Then Aries goes to the top rope, but Styles leaps onto the middle rope and blocks him. Aries smashes him with elbows and boxes his ears, causing Styles to fall to the mat. Aries goes for the 450, but lands on his feet as Styles rolls out of the way. Aries is in the corner waiting for Styles to get to his feet in the opposite corner. Aries goes for a crossbody block, but Styles ducks, leaving Aries draped across the top turnbuckle. Styles hits him with a Pele kick, and Aries falls forward as he remains in a straddle position. Styles goes up on the middle rope and executes the Styles Clash off the middle rope. He gets the 3. The winner of the match, AJ Styles. Now, many people wanted this to be the proverbial 5-star match, but those expectations preceded the obvious. The winner of the match, which we knew would be Styles, had to wrestle a second time later in the show. Styles had to reserve his energy level and save that for the final match, which had to exceed both semifinal matches. So he couldn't go all out in this one. Nevertheless, it was still a good match. So then we see the Main Event Mafia backstage. Sting tells Magnus that the Main Event Mafia started out with each member being a world champion, but Magnus is an exception because they think so highly of him. Sting says that he's trying to relay the message to Magnus that it's not about who he is at this time, but about who he's going to be, a world champion. Magnus interrupts him, saying that he is grateful to the other members for what they've said about him. However, he goes on to say that he is tired of hearing them say that he will be the future. Magnus says that the future is now. And I thought that Magnus came off well here. His mic skills keep improving, and he continues to show why he is on his way to becoming a future champion. So then we had the second Bound for Glory Series semifinal match, Robert Roode versus Magnus. Another good match. The match ended with Roode attempting a superplex on Magnus, but Magnus counters with a front suplex. He follows that with a flying elbow drop off the top rope. Magnus goes for the pin, but Roode kicks out. Magnus tries to lift Roode, but Roode does a float over and rolls him up for a pin attempt, but Magnus kicks out. Magnus approaches Roode, but Roode takes him down and applies the crossface. Magnus slips out and locks in the cloverleaf. Roode tries to reach the ropes, but Magnus drags him back to the center of the ring. Roode slowly pulls himself toward the ropes and grabs the bottom rope. He tries to recover outside the ring, but Magnus throws him back in. As Magnus re-enters the ring, Roode kicks the middle rope, which hits Magnus in the groin. Roode attempts a fisherman suplex, but Magnus takes Roode down with both legs and flips himself over for a double leg hook roll up for pin for the win. The winner of the match, Magnus. Now Roode didn't get his ring entrance, so that meant that Magnus was going to win the match according to the unwritten rule. Now I thought that an exception would be made this time because since they had Roode come back from being 0-4 in the Bound for Glory series to making the top 4, TNA would allow him to move to the final and fall just one match short. However, it was a pleasant surprise to see Magnus win, and it added a freshness to the final considering that Styles and Magnus had not previously wrestled each other. So then we see Roode sitting backstage, still pissed over losing the match. He throws a chair and flips over a table. Christopher Daniels and Kazarian come in and try to calm him down. Roode says that he should be in the final match against AJ Styles and blames Hogan. He says that if they're not going to be in the finals, then no one's going. So then we see Hogan and TJ Perkins backstage. Perkins is wearing his manic costume, and he holds the mask in his hands. Hogan tells Perkins that he is really over right now because when he puts the mask on, the feeling is similar to... I can't say it. I can't say it because it's that ridiculous. Perkins says that wearing the mask makes him a better wrestler and that he wants to test himself by facing Jeff Hardy. And Hogan says that he will give him the match. Then Dixie Carter walks in and tells Perkins to leave so that she can speak to Hogan. She tells Hogan that the Bellator lawyers have removed Quentin Jackson and Tito Ortiz from Impact because they're not happy about what's been going on between the two, and they want to protect them for the November 2nd pay-per-view fight. Hogan is okay with the decision and says that Jackson and Ortiz should face each other in the ring after the fight. Okay. As far as Perkins' manic is concerned, I think the best way that he can test himself would be for him to defend his X Division championship against actual X Division contenders. I think that would be the best way for him to test himself. When is that going to happen? And as far as Jackson and Ortiz being off Impact, who cares? Neither one of them is serious about professional wrestling. Who cares? So then we see Aces and Eights backstage, without Mr. Anderson, of course. Bully Ray says that he can't believe what's been happening with the group and how Anderson has disrespected him. He turns to Mike Knox, Garrett Bischoff, and Wes Briscoe and thinks that they are secretly pulling for Anderson. Bully Ray says that they may want Anderson to be the president and the new world champion. He says that he can't believe that they would turn on him after everything that he has done for them. And Bully Ray reminds them that he put the club together and that he allowed Anderson to join. He says that he feels that the others will do the right thing and remain loyal to him. So it was clear that Knox, Bischoff, and Briscoe were going to get involved in the match between Bully Ray and Mr. Anderson later. But who would their loyalty lie with? So it was a good tease. So then we had the World Heavyweight Championship, last man standing rules. Bully Ray versus Mr. Anderson. Bully Ray and Brooke Tessmacher come to the ring, and Anderson decides to meet Bully Ray halfway down the ramp. They start brawling and the match begins. Very good match. Better than expected. The match ends with the other members of Aces and Eights coming to the ring, as Bully Ray and Anderson are both down on the mat. Referee Earl Hebner is also down, having been shoved by Bully Ray earlier. And the other members help Anderson up. And then Tessmacher comes in the ring and low blows Anderson. She goes to Bully Ray in the corner and kisses him. She leaves the ring and Bully Ray screams at Knox, Bischoff, and Briscoe to do it now. Knox lifts Anderson off the mat and kisses him on the cheek. Then the three Aces and Eights members deliver a triple powerbomb. Bully Ray orders him to leave and positions Hebner toward Anderson so that he can count him out. However, Anderson makes it to the ropes and pulls himself up at the count of 9. Bully Ray gets in Anderson's face, telling him that he should stay down. Anderson hits Bully Ray with a series of punches, but Bully Ray responds with a clothesline takedown. Bully Ray crawls to the corner and grabs a chain. He wraps it around his fist and nails Anderson. Anderson is busted open and laid out, but once again, he makes it to his feet before the count of 10. And Anderson is staggering in place, and Bully Ray charges him, putting him through the table in the corner. Bully Ray picks up a jagged piece of the decapitated table and holds it up as Anderson is laid out in the corner. Hebner reaches the count of 10 this time. The winner of the match, Bully Ray. Now after the match, these two pseudo EMTs with their polo shirts on come in the ring, and I guess they stabilize Anderson's neck, if that's what you want to call it, and they struggle to put Anderson on the back brace, and then they can't decide how to pass Anderson through the ropes in order to put him on the stretcher outside the ring. Eventually they get him on the stretcher and roll him down the ramp, but Bully Ray chases them off. Bully Ray slowly rolls the stretcher to the stage and dumps Anderson off. Bully Ray rips off the neck brace and removes Anderson's vest. He starts whipping Anderson with it. Then Bully Ray slowly lifts Anderson up and gives him a pile driver. He gets in Anderson's face and gives him the spiel. Then Bully Ray proudly stands holding his belt up. The piledriver angle only reinforces Bully Ray as the top heel in wrestling, and it creates more build to see the face that will finally take him down at Bound for Glory. Tess Mocker is now progressing as a heel valet. She's getting vocal, she's getting involved in matches. She's finally doing what a heel valet should be doing. Now, Mr. Anderson's contract is up soon, which explains the piledriver angle. Now, there was a report that he had re-signed with TNA, but he has not. If Anderson does re-sign, TNA needs to have him sell this injury for maybe 3 months. And then if they want to turn him face and bring back his lame hybrid gimmick and his annoying microphone from the ceiling shtick, then fine. We don't need to see him show up 2 weeks from now like nothing happened, if he resigns. So then we see ODB backstage, and basically she talks about her match next week against Mickie James for the Women's Championship. Now, don't be surprised if ODB wins the title next week. Mickey's contract is up this month, and there has been no indication that she's going to resign. So, the safe choice for now for TNA would be to put the belt on ODB. So then we see James, Storm, and Gunner in the ring. And Storm says that he and Gunner were sitting backstage watching the action, and while he would prefer to watch the matches, Gunner would prefer to fight. Storm says that they can do both, so all they need are opponents. And he name drops the Glorified Jobbers, the Extraordinary Gentlemen's Organization, and Aces and Eights. Storm says that instead of hearing contenders complaining, he would rather have them do something about it. Now, at this point, I was hoping that Bad Influence would come out. But then, that music played. And I immediately realized that instead of the TNA Tag Team Division preparing to take a step ahead, it was preparing to take 3 steps back. So, Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez come to the ring. I can't even recall what Chavo said because it was that snooze-inducing. And frankly, I didn't care. Gunner takes the mic and tells Chavo and Hernandez that if they can beat him and Storm next week, they may get a title shot. And that was the segment. Now, if Bad Influence wasn't going to come out, which they should have, the second logical choice would have been Garrett Bischoff and Wes Briscoe, no matter how average they are. It's about logic. At least they could have come out and said, "We beat you last week. We won our title shot." And it would have made sense. If there is even one TNA fan that actually wants to see Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez versus James Storm and Gunner come back to earth, so then we had the Bound for Glory series final match. AJ Styles versus Magnus. Another very good match. It would have been great if it had been a clean match, but thanks to the Extraordinary Gentlemen's Organization, it wasn't. However, Styles and Magnus were able to recover from the interference and make this match very good. The match ends with Styles applying the calf killer on Magnus. Magnus fights to make it to the ropes, and he does. He struggles to the corner holding his knee. Styles comes toward Magnus, leaps in the air, and comes down with a blow to the neck. Magnus comes out of the corner, and Styles tries a spin kick. However, Magnus catches his leg, picks him up, and delivers a takedown slam. He goes for the pin, but Styles kicks out. Magnus lifts Styles up for a suplex, but instead he places him on the top turnbuckle. Magnus tries to go for a superplex, but Styles throws 3 punches to the midsection, and Magnus falls to the mat. Magnus comes right back with a forearm to the face and goes back up to the middle rope. Styles delivers 3 forearms to the face, and Magnus goes down to the mat again. Magnus comes back, slugs Styles, and goes back up to the middle rope again. He tries once again to execute the superplex, but Styles gives him 2 shots to the midsection and then delivers this sick barrage of forearms and elbows. Magnus falls to the mat, landing on his back. Styles comes off the top rope with the spiral tap. He gets the 3. The winner of the match and the winner of the Bound for Glory series, AJ Styles. After the match, Styles gets on the mic and thanks everyone for contributing to what he has just accomplished. He says that he got high feedback for his shoot on Dixie Carter 2 weeks ago, except that Dixie never contacted him about it. Styles wants Dixie to show up next week because what he said 2 weeks ago is nothing compared to what he's going to tell her next week. He drops the mic, show ends. This was the best showing that Magnus has had both inside and outside of the ring. The solid promo that he gave about being the future of the company. His in-ring performance tonight, including the great sell of fighting for the ropes while locked in Styles' submission hold. The disappointment that he showed after losing the match. Barring any ridiculous creative decisions, 2014 will be his year. He will become world champion. Now to Styles. Styles did not address Bully Ray and the world title, and I found that odd. Instead, he chose to address Dixie Carter. It may sound insignificant, but it could be leading to something unpleasant, particularly if you are an AJ Styles fan. I have a theory, but I'm going to wait until next week to explain it. It'll be much clearer once the confrontation between Styles and Dixie Carter takes place. For now, Styles has the title shot, and the road to Bound for Glory awaits. But there may be a caution sign ahead. Maybe. I'm Taskmark 2002, and that was my TNA Impact analysis for September 12th, 2013. If you're listening to me on YouTube, please leave your comments below. Click the like or dislike button, and if you subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. If you're listening to me on the Wrestling News Talk Facebook page, you can leave your comments below and click the like button if you like what I've been saying. If you have any questions or comments about TNA or wrestling in general, you can contact me on Twitter, Taskmark2002, that's TAZMARK 2002. And if your comments exceed the 140, get at me with an email, Taskmark2002@gmail.com. In addition to doing my own commentaries, I'm now adding my analysis to the TNA reviews of my new family member, Chuck P. Chuck and I will be doing TNA Impact reviews weekly on his channel. We did our No Surrender review along with Carl Cleveland, so make sure that you give that a look. I really enjoyed doing that, and I'm looking forward to doing more reviews with Chuck P. Chuck does his TNA review 30 minutes after Impact goes off the air, so you can watch us live at 11:30. If not, then make sure you watch us at a later time. And he told me that he will have myself, Carl, and possibly others on the panel for the Bound for Glory review. So make sure that you prepare for that. And give Chuck P a look. Go to his channel and check him out. As I said, I am an administrator on the Wrestling News Talk Facebook page, which is run by Andre Corbeil. Andre has been nominated for Best Supporting YWC Channel for 2013. If you know him, vote for him if you haven't. If you don't know him, you can watch his videos on YouTube under Andre Corbeil, that's Corbeil, or you can watch him on his Wrestling News Talk Facebook page. Andre was my first YouTube subscriber. He has supported my commentaries, and he allowed me to join Wrestling News Talk. He's a knowledgeable and passionate wrestling fan, and he deserves this award. So you can go to the Wrestling News Talk Facebook page and scroll down until you see an entry describing his nomination. and there will be a link there where you can place your vote. So congratulations, Andre. It was a very good show. The best Impact of the year to date. Someone asked me via email if I thought that Hogan wants Dixie Carter in charge of TNA. He doesn't. At a recent fan expo in Toronto, Canada, Hogan said in so many words that he would prefer that Eric Bischoff be in charge. That Bischoff should be given the, quote, keys to the car, unquote, as he put it. Once again, Hogan slams Dixie out loud. And he's done that a few times this year. Now, Dixie won't speak out negatively about Hogan, and she shouldn't. You know what she needs to do for the sake of the company. If she can get off the snake oil and find the way to do it, she can go that step further. Words go deep, but actions go deeper. I'm Tazmart 2002. Gone.